friends, we are here for another episode of Besties Picks My Reads. We've had friends that I'm friends with for a long time, like 20 plus years, 5 years, 3 years, and today we have one of my newest friends picking my reads, and that would be my friend Maria. We recently started becoming friends over the past few months, and she did the honors of picking some books for me to read. So I will be honest, these aren't the original books she had picked. Well, 2 of them are, but then she was picking books from my series shelf, trying to help a girl out by getting through my series, but the series she kept picking were ones that I was already done with. So we finally figured it out. But the books we're going to be reading in today's video, 2 of which have been on my TBR for so long, so I'm so glad she's giving me the kick in the booty I need to get this done. But we have got The Shadows, which is going to be my first Alex North book, and this is a mystery thriller, and it says, they believed they could control their dreams, instead they created a nightmare. You knew a teenager like Charlie Crabtree, a dark imagination, a sinister smile, always on the outside of the group. Some parts of you suspect he might be capable of doing something awful. 25 years ago, Crabtree did that, committing a murder so shocking that it attracted the strange kind of infamy that only exists in the darkest corners of the internet, and inspired more than one copycat. Paul Adams remembers the case all too well. Crabtree and his victim were Paul's friends. Paul has slowly put his life together, but now his mother, old and suffering from dementia, has taken a turn for the worst. Though every inch of him resists, it's time to come home. It's not long before things start to go wrong. Paul learns that Detective Amanda Beck is investigating another copycat that has struck in the nearby town of Featherbank. His mother is distressed, insistent that there's somebody in the house and someone is following him, which reminds him of the most unsettling thing about that awful day 25 years ago. It wasn't just the murder. It was the fact that afterward, Charlie Crabtree was never seen again. So that sounds actually really good. Okay, then the second book that she picked that was on her original list was the next book in Mile High, which is Caught Up. This is about Kai and Miller. This is the single dad trope, which has recently become a favorite of mine for an unknown reason, because I don't have kids, I don't want kids. I would not personally ever date a single dad because of my like deep desire to never be a mother, but here we are. I think this one's baseball. Yep. Kai. I'm a single dad in starting pitcher for Chicago's MLB team. I'm stretched too thin and I don't want help raising my son. Each of his previous nannies only lasted a few weeks before I let them go. Now my coach is putting his foot down by hiring one person I don't fire, his daughter. Miller Montgomery is the last woman I should fall for, too wild, too young, and too unattached. Chicago is just a quick stop for her. I thought I'd be counting down the days until she left, but summer feels too short when I start thinking about forever. Miller, as a high-end pastry chef who recently won the most prestigious award in the industry, I'm desperate to prove I deserve it. But with a new title comes new pressure, and I can't create a fresh and inspiring dessert to save my life. With only 2 months to get back on track, I should be focusing on the kitchen, but instead I let my dad talk me into using my time off to nanny his star player's kid. Kai Rhodes forgot how to have fun, and I'm eager to jog his memory, but when he and his son start to feel like home, I have to remind myself that my time in Chicago ends this summer. Besides, I've always been a runner, and the last thing I want to do is get caught. I've given both books in the series so far 5 stars, so I'm excited about that. And then we have this, which I've had on my TBR for a while. This is a YA thriller or horror called Bad Ones by Melissa Elbert, and this says, in the corner of a single winter's night, 4 people vanish without a trace across a small town. Nora's estranged best friend Becca is one of the lost. As Nora tries to untangle the truth of Becca's disappearance, she discovers a darkness in her own town's past, as well as a string of coded messages Becca left for her to unravel. These clues led Nora to pieces of the local store, a legendary goddess of forgotten origins who plays the role in Nora and Becca's own childhood games. An arresting crossover horror fantasy threaded with dark magic. The Bad Ones is a poison pen love letter to semi-toxic best friendship, the occult power of childhood play, and the artistic creation, and the razor-thin line between make-believe and belief. This is probably going to be my least favorite just based on the vibes, but I'm excited to the very least get it off the TBR, and we will jump in to these ones. Let's go. Okay guys, the way in which I can't be bothered to get up and get the physical book, but I am 57% of the way through this book, and I think it's going to be a 3. It's better than I anticipated it being. But basically, this book is about this one night, 4 people in this town go missing. Our main character that we're following is Nora. One of them is like her neighbors, but one of the people that went missing is her best friend, Becca. And I'm looking at the synopsis really quick because I don't want to say anything because it is like a mystery that like isn't set in there. As Nora tries to untangle the truth of Becca's disappearance, she discovers a darkness in her town's past, as well as a string of coded messages Becca left for her to unravel. Okay. So basically, she keeps finding all these clues that are leading back to this game, that the goddess game that they used to play when they were a kid in the woods. And we know that something happened to Becca in the woods pretty recently, and that her and Nora had a bit of a falling out. We don't know what the falling out was over, but that like they weren't really talking when she went missing, but she texted Nora just simply like, I love you or something out of the blue, and they weren't speaking, and that really freaked Nora out. She went over to her house to try to like talk to her, was like tapping on her window, and she was not like replying. She slept literally outside her house, found her phone in like the bushes, and Becca has kind of been through a lot. First, her mother died in a car accident, and then her dad ended up getting remarried, and then shortly after he got remarried, he died, and she has a step monster, as we like to call it, and her step monster didn't want to like really take it seriously that Becca was missing, because she's like, well, she just doesn't like me, so like she just ran away. That's simply what it is. But she's using these clues to piece together like folklore along with this legendary goddess of this game that they used to play. And right now she's just trying to figure out like what's happening. And it's like fine. It's not anything to write home about. I don't know that I would be like shooting from the rooftops to read it, but if somebody was like, oh, I'm picking this up, was it good? I'd be like, yeah, it was decent. So that's where I'm at. I am playing Pokemon. I went to the home screen so that the music wouldn't be playing, but that's what I'm up to. I think my husband's going to be bringing me home McDonald's. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, y'all, we are about to start in On the Shadows. I have the audio for it. It's due in 3 days, so we're going to just listen to it. I think it's a 9-hour audio, so at 3 times speed, this will only take me about 3 hours. It's 2 o'clock. I have a lot of work to do. Let's get into it. I've read a couple of romances back to back, yeah, I've read quite a few romances recently, so I'm excited to switch up the genre, and hopefully this one does not disappoint, because thrillers have done nothing but disappoint me pretty much this year, and I would love to just love one of them, truly. halfway through this book, and it's giving 2 or 3 star energy. It's not giving what it needs to get. So basically, in this book, we have got our main character, Paul, and in high school, he was friends with this guy, Charlie. They had this friend group, and Charlie was kind of a weirdo, and he was, like, big into dreams and, like, lucid dreaming and, like, remembering your dreams and keeping this dream diary. And he had this, like, thing where, like, he and his friends were gonna, like, force themselves into lucid dreaming so that they could be in the same dreams. I don't know. Everything started getting weird and they started getting really close, but Paul kind of was like, this is all sort of a bunch of bullshit. I don't believe in any of this, whatever. So he is like not about it, not live, laugh, loving, not in agreement with these other people. And they kind of pushed him out of the group, and eventually Charlie kills somebody, okay? Basically what happens. So now we have like a kind of like a past present timeline, and now Paul's mom is like in assisted care. She has got dementia, and he is come home for the first time in a lot of years to see her. And she keeps going like in and out of like memories, and she just keeps telling him that he's in the woods and it's in the house. And in the attic, he found like a bunch of red handprints, which was like one of the things that was at the crime scene. And his mom just basically keeps telling him that Charlie, he's in the woods. Because the thing about Charlie, he was never captured. He was never to be seen again after these murders. And then we have like a detective who's trying to figure it out. Charlie's staying at his mom's house. He woke up in the morning and there was like handprints on the door, banging on the door in the night. And he like ran into the woods and he felt like Charlie was there in the woods. And it's just like not good. It's basically where I'm at. I'm bored. I don't like it. And so I'm going to the Olive Garden. Okay, bye. Hello, friends. We are meeting in my office because my husband is going to sleep. It's 10 something at night. I have about 4 hours till I need to leave for the airport. And I have 3.5 hours left in my book. I'm planning on not sleeping, and I should probably mention that. But it is what it is. But I am going to try to finish this tonight. So we're about halfway through. This book is about Kai and Miller. Kai is a professional baseball player, and Miller is a professional baker. She is a very like well-known, very like held at like a very high level. She had basically her job is she always wanted to like own her own like little mom and pop bakery, But growing up, she was just raised by her dad. Her mom died when she was young, and she feels like she needs to reach all of these like levels of like get all these accolades and awards in order to make her dad proud, because she feels like he gave up his dream to take care of her, because he was quite young when she was born, and he was a professional baseball player, and he quit to take care of her when her mom died. And so she was 5 when her mom died, and he took care of her. So she's been working in this job as a baker, and she essentially gets contracted by Michelin star, or like restaurants that are up for a Michelin star, and helps them revamp their dessert menu. But she is kind of having like a writer's block, but for bakers, and so she decides she's gonna leave her current position at the restaurant, because she gets basically like the one of the chefs there like says you're not a real chef, and is kind of being super disrespectful towards her. So she's like, okay fine, I quit. And so she decides that she's gonna quit, and she flies to Chicago to visit her dad. She has lived a very transient life. She does not like to set down roots, because she feels if she sets down roots somewhere, her dad's gonna quit his job to follow her there, and she doesn't want him to give up anything else for her. So when she goes home, her dad basically propositions her, because one of the players on his team, Malachi, or Kai, he is a pitcher. He has a son that's about 15 months old that he did not know about. Basically, he had a fling with this girl, and she did not tell him about the baby. What was the kid's name? No, I can't remember. Max? I think it's Max. Yeah, because they call him Maxie. So Max's mom didn't want Kai to think that she was like using him, blah blah blah, trying to trap him, so she never told him about Max. And then when Max was 6 months old, she kind of shows up on his door and is like, yeah, I don't want to be a mom, so here you go, bye. And so now he's been raising his kid, and the coach, Miller's dad, he is very afraid that that's his brother, that Kai is going to do what he did. And he knows at the time he doesn't regret what he did, because he did not love the game of baseball and was not as good at the game of baseball as Kai. And so he does not want Kai to quit. And so Kai just keeps firing babysitter after babysitter. Or nanny. He's only hiring male nannies, because he doesn't want the team to get distracted, or to just try to distract the nanny, and he fires all of them within less than a month. So the coach, Miller's dad, is like, okay, well, like, I've hired you a new nanny, and it is my daughter, so you cannot fire her. And he's like, just so you know, like, she is not gonna stay. So basically, like, Kai does not do flings, and Miller does not do staying anywhere for very long. So he's like, don't get caught up in feelings for her, because she is going to leave. No matter what you say or how she feels, she will leave. You will get heartbroken, so like, don't do it. And so he instantly tries to fire Miller day one, because she's too good with his son. Max is very wary of women, probably some sort of deep-seated trauma about his mom leaving him. And so when he immediately warms to Miller, Kai is very anxious about that, because he's like, well, she's gonna leave, so like, I don't want him to get too attached. Well, he doesn't have a choice. She's gonna be working with them, and now she has been his nanny for a while, and they're starting to kind of like admit that they like each other. However, she just keeps saying, well, I'm leaving, and he just keeps saying, like, we can't do this, but come on now. We all know at the end of the day she's gonna stay. And she's been trying to work on her like baking block, and so she's talked to him about how she like misses making fun things like banana bread and chocolate chip cookies instead of a deconstructed lemon tart and all this fancy shit. She doesn't really care about the fancy shit. And so she's been baking with Max, like having him help her, and it's been really cute seeing her being able to like be happy about it. And so it's been really good so far, and I'm loving it. Okay, Miss Maria may have given us 2 2-star reads, but she also gave us Caught Up, which was a 5-star read. I finished reading this book on the airplane on the way to Chicago, which is kind of funny because this book takes place in Chicago, the Windy City series. Sobbing on the plane at like 7 in the morning, very embarrassing. But in this, we've got Kai, he is our single daddy, and we've got Miller, she is the coach's daughter, and he needs a nanny, and he just keeps firing everybody over and over and over and over again. And so when his coach is like, I have a new nanny for you, and you can't fire her because it's my daughter. It's throws a wrench in the works, and so he does just kind of begrudgingly agree to go and allow her to watch the son. And it's like this whole thing where he doesn't really like her at first because he thinks that his son likes her too much and that he's gonna get attached to her, and like his son's mom's already abandoned him, so like whenever Miller leaves, she doesn't want there to be this like extra tough situation for his son. So he's been looking for a nanny that his son likes enough but isn't attached to. And when he immediately latches onto Miller, he's like, nope, I hate her, she's got to go. But they end up continuing onward, and he realizes just how great she is. The only issue is that Miller is leaving at the end of the summer. She's leaving in September because she is a world-renowned pastry chef, baker, whatever. And she has this really interesting job where she goes to restaurants that are like in the running for a Michelin star, and she helps redo their dessert menus. She has been in a funk, and she decides that she's just taking this summer off because she is having like a baker's block, basically. She can't think of anything to make. And so while she's watching his son, Max, that's his name, she starts making things like banana bread and chocolate chip cookies, and like taking it back to the basics and really remembering why she loves baking. And it's really this big story of her finding herself, and Kai learning how to let her in. And it was really, really good, and I gave it 5 stars. Every book in the series has been 5 stars, and there's 2 left. The next book is about Kai's brother Isaiah, and I can't wait. I literally can't wait. But that's everything for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!